Well, good morning, folks. Feels absolutely excellent to be outside today. I went down by one of the floodwaters today to go see if I could help out a little bit. As the water raised up by a local hotel, there was a slight little problem. A bunch of carp fish came in and then got stranded in this area, and they could no longer get out, and the water is receding quite rapidly. So I went over there this morning to see if I could help out a whole bunch of local anglers catch a few of these carp and release them back into the river. I was there for about 2.5 to 3 hours. Didn't have any luck though, unfortunately. So we'll just have to basically count on the ministry to eventually send somebody down here to do something about it. But I'm not holding my breath on that for sure. If it isn't deer and walleye, they really couldn't give a crap. So while I was out and doing my thing, I started to get a little hungry. So I figured let's go for a little bit of a hike and have ourselves a nice bushcraft lunch. Bugs are out, kind of annoying, but I'll survive. But first, just got to find a decent spot where I can actually set up and maybe even sit down and get a fire going so we can have some lunch, because I got some good stuff today. It's going to be a bit of a challenge getting this fire started. I left the tools that I like at home, but I actually lent my saw to somebody, and I lent my axe to somebody else, and I forgot my my knives at home. But I did have this guy in my pack. This is a Hudson Bay camp knife. I've been messing around with this a little bit. I won this on a channel of DC's Adventures. He's got an awesome channel, by the way. You should go and check him out. And if you're into the giveaway things, he does a lot of giveaways. This is where I won this. But Uncle Dave, he likes to call himself. Dave's a great guy. Has a very good channel, and he does some cool stuff out in the desert, which I kind of like, because he tends to go into an area that I just don't have around here to practice in. So anyway, I won this knife from him. It's got an 8-inch blade. To be honest, I'm not really crazy about it. I find the handle is absolutely horrible. You'll see how the handle kind of bubbles up around the butt end here, and it tends to push your hand into this extra wasted steel. I mean, they should have just brought the knife edge right down to the end and left like about 1/8 of it, but don't know why they designed it this way, but I guess they had their reasons. One thing I will say though about this steel, it seems to be pretty strong. I carved down with the saw, cut down with the saw, and I wasn't able to cut down anymore. I'd maxed out I thought I was going to make it, but I couldn't make it. So I was thinking, should I just try cutting from the bottom? So I started cutting from the bottom, but couldn't get the proper angle. So I actually tucked this knife down inside the hole, and I started prying on it, and I was bending the crap out of this blade. Finally, the burl let go. But the knife is still perfectly straight. So that was one thing that was good. I had a lot of gripes when I first got it, because on the handle, I posted a thing on Instagram actually. The handle had this epoxy mark still on the handle. There was a couple of dents in the edge blade. I had to clean those up. I was kind of disappointed. If I would have bought this, I probably would have returned it to Condor and said, hey dudes, you guys suck, and never buy your knife again. But instead, I decided to put a little bit of elbow grease into it, and I fixed up the edge. You can see the edge doesn't have that big chunk out of it anymore, and it should do just fine. So for today, the cutting tools I'm going to be using to make my fire is my little Gonzo here. It's the G737, and this guy. So I'm gonna see if I can collect enough branches and whatnot to get going, so we can go ahead and cook up our lunch. Because really, I'm hungry. I'm really hungry. So I got a spot here where I can sit down a little bit, and we'll go and collect some branches and some sticks, and see how it's gonna do. Still alive. Can't say she doesn't chop well. Sorry guys, got this big branch here. It's similar in thickness to my wrist. Let's just start whacking on it and see how long it takes us to get through it, or at least close. Probably should have picked a better spot. Not so bad. Split right through that big piece of beech. That's some hard wood right there. Now, we're just gonna need some tinder to get us started. Really, not all birch is created equal. You'll have some thick pieces like this that actually can be a little bit difficult to start, or near impossible to start with a ferrocerium rod, unless you scrape it up and make the finer dust, create the surface area you need. But sometimes you'll find these little fluffy bits, and when you find those are gold. Little tiny guys like this. All you need is a little tiny bit to catch your spark. Then after that, you have your flame, and all the big stuff lights up real easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and harvest some of this light fluffy stuff, and then a couple of bigger pieces of the big stuff, and then we'll get started. That's another thing I hate about this thing, is barely shoot sparks. It's a good thing I have my backup, a little Gonzo. The Gonzo shoots sparks. Put everything away. You don't lose nothing. Sorry guys, for today's lunch, we're gonna have some smoky red beans and rice, and we're gonna have some bacon. But this is and we're gonna have some fresh pork flank. But we're gonna make this a little bit of a Caribbean style, and we're gonna go ahead and put some jerk seasoning on there. Now, normally when cooking with jerk seasoning, you would want to you would definitely want to marinate this over 24 hours before you'd cook with it. But in this case, didn't really have that kind of time. Man, whew, it's hot. But it's still going to be absolutely delicious. So we'll put our slices up there. Ooh, I'm going to have one extra. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Maybe we can squeeze it on there. All right. So what we're using actually is myself and a family member make hot sauces for local craft fairs, and we sell them there. And this is actually one of our mixes. This is the dry jerk seasoning, and our brand is called West Island Fire. Absolutely great stuff. And you'll see once we get this grill over the fire, it's going to be something special, I'm telling you. Nice and spicy. Full. So flip these over and get the other side. All right. For those of you who've never tried jerk seasoning, you really got to try it. It's absolutely delicious. Fish, seafood, chicken, and pork can't be beat. I was looking for something to go along with my jerk, with my jerk pork or my jerk bacon, and I couldn't figure anything out. But I came across this while I was out there. This is a smoky red beans and rice, so it should kind of match the Caribbean style theme I got going on here. So, but usually you cook these in the microwave. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this inside the cup with a tiny little bit of water, and hopefully no bugs. And I'll cook this up alongside that, and we'll have our meal a little bit. So let's get this going. Trying to drop it on the floor. Well, it looks pretty good. It smells alright too. Go ahead and give it a splash of water. Does need to steam. So, while the lunch is getting going, we'll talk a little bit about this Condor knife. There are some things it does well, and there are some things it just sucks at. Now, all things considered, do I think this knife can be improved upon? Yeah, I think so. I think if I remove some of this belly on this here and round out the handle again, it'll make it more comfortable. I just found it kind of weird that they made such a large knife. I mean, an 8-inch blade with a tiny little handle. I mean, this is like my hand swallows pretty much the whole thing up, and that swell on the back end. I know it's probably made for as a chopper, and they don't want people to their hands for the knife to slip out of their hand. But if they would have made it a 1/2 inch longer, they could have put a nice lanyard hole in there, and that would have solved a lot of problems. Another thing too that I've heard a lot of talk about when it comes to Condor knives is the high quality of the sheath. Now, I want to address that a little bit. The sheath on the knife does seem to be well made. Actually, there was more care that went into this production sheath than went into the knife, I think. It does have a dangler system that swings, so you're not getting jammed up with your knife all the time. But there is one major issue with this, and especially being a dangler, is, sorry guys, it does seem to hang all right. It's kind of comfortable on the belt. You barely notice it's there. It slaps around your leg a little bit when you're walking. It's not the end of the world though. But all things considered, I keep my knife there. I got my little pocket knife here. It'll do the trick if I need it. And all things considered, that's all right. It's a really heavy knife, so I don't really see it falling out unless maybe I was wrong. Alright guys, rice and beans looks pretty good, and the bacon looks just about ready. Time to pull out the mess kit. Alright, let's get those beans in there. Oh, that smells good. All right, and our jerk bacon. Take a look at that, guys. Tell me that doesn't look good. I wish you could smell it. Take a look at that. Tell me that doesn't look good. Mmm. Now, for those of you who haven't experimented with some Caribbean food, if you like spicy food and you eat chicken or pork, which in my opinion are the two best things you can put jerk on, it's absolutely amazing. This is nice and spicy, peppery, delicious. All kinds of herbs and spices in this. Man, I'm telling you, this is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and nibble this down a little bit, and then we'll get back to talking about that knife a little, and what it does well and what it doesn't do well. So give it a couple of minutes. Let me get into this, and we'll get back into that knife. So as usual, guys, I can't even give 5 minutes peace. Here we are, eating my lunch. Can you hear it? Listen. Yeah, it's raining again. Let's talk about the we'll talk about the goods first. Actually, we'll talk about the bads first, then we'll get into the goods. The bads were how it came out initially out of the box. There were some grooves in the handle. There was some still epoxy around the pins. The bevel was quite a bit off in the tip. That I haven't fixed yet. You can see that's quite a bit off. And along the edge, you'll see there was a couple of big chunks taken out of it. I have since cleaned that up, and it seems to be okay now. But it did come with it, and it did take a couple of hours of work to get those out. So that's kind of annoying, especially out of a brand new box out of the box. Brand new knife out of the box should not be coming with dings in the edge. A lot of times you get a brand new knife and it's not sharp. That happens a lot. But to get one that's damaged, that sucks. A couple of other things too. The spine. It feels like it's a 90 degree, but it's not. It doesn't. Oh, it will work this way. Okay. Okay. So that's not so bad. It does not work that way, but it will work this way. Okay, so if you want to use a ferrocerium rod with this, using the traditional method of just striking up like that, it's not going to work. But if you do, take the edge and you point the blade towards you, which can be a little on the dangerous side, so you have to pay attention to what you're doing, but that will shoot some sparks. See if we can get those going. So it is doable. I should have actually tried that in the video, but unfortunately I didn't. But good things. Well, sorry. So as for a carver, it's not a carver. Look at it. It's huge. Fine carving. You'll probably get by doing some notching with this, but mainly it's not going to do it well, and you'll probably get by with doing some other tasks, you know, medium to heavy tasks with this, carving wise. If you're talking about carving, feather sticks you can do with any knife, so I don't know why people call that fine carving. It's not. But if you're going to do like intricate notches, you know, cutting squares in the hole to make pegs to go through to hold things together, that kind of thing, this is not a good choice for that. You need a tool made for that, a smaller knife with the proper grind. But as for the things it does well, this thing chops well. Although the handle design is kind of funky and dumb, the way it is, pushes your hands into the choil, creates a hot spot, and bangs against your hand. But the good things it does is it does chop well and it batons well. If you wanted to carry a big knife and a small knife, and have a little folder in your pocket and a big beast on your hip, then that'll work just fine. But doing the small tasks with this, not so good. The one thing I will say is heat treat. I think the heat treat's okay. You'll see after all that chopping that we did, preparing for the fire, hacking through that good seasoned bit of beech right there. Took a few swings, but that was more because when I was hitting it, the branch that I had it leaning on was bending, taking in some of the impact. But if it would have been on something harder, it would have blasted right through it. So I got no rollovers, no chips, nothing on there. So we're still good. So that's all right. So all in all, do I think it's worth 50 bucks? Fit and finish is one thing and functionality is another. Does it do what it's designed to do? Well, it depends if you believe all the videos that are out there that it's the one tool option or the greatest knife ever. It's not. Anyway, in my opinion, it's not. Is it a decent wood processor? Yeah, it's a decent wood processor. But do I think it's worth 60, 70 bucks? No, I think there's better options out there. In that case, if I was going to buy a $60 or $70 knife, I'd just go get a machete, and then I have something that chopped even better than this, and I could feather stick with anything, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, that said, my opinion, if I'm giving this a 1 out of 10 rating, I give it a 5, 5.5, maybe a 6, because it's only good for two things, really. And maybe you can get by with some other things, but there's a lot more to running in the bush with a knife than just splitting wood. So anyway, just my thoughts, guys. If you're ever in the market for looking for one of these, if you can get one for a good deal, then I would say it's worth it. But besides that, not really. Anyway, hope you guys liked the lunch. Hope you guys liked the quick demo of this Hudson Bay Condor Hudson Bay cap knife. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Mark from Adventure Time Outdoors. Get out and explore.